right, we got a sandpiper in here. Sandpiper. That's what we got. Not a bad looking coach. Except, you know, your typical RV roof, which I'll show you when I get it all kind of worked out where I can walk around there. Because right now, we have got a back wall issue here. I don't know how bad rotted it is. So, gonna have to take the window out. We'll take all, strip it all down. Then, you got this too. I don't know what's going on with that, but you can see. I don't know if you can see that thing is bubbled out pretty bad. But I just feel like something might have warped inside there. But anyhow, that really wasn't on the lid. It feels solid. It's just got a little bubble in it for some reason. So I'm not going to poke that bear unless he really needs us to. But this wall is rotted. And then, like I said, the rest of it's just your typical RV type. Don't have an awning up there. I don't see one there. Alright, let's get to work and I'll show you what's going on here after we get all this. These are the screws that we just took out of the ladder. And that's kind of indicative that you got some issues. When you take a screw out, if you take a screw out and the shank is got rust on it like that, that means there's moisture getting in the frame, in the wood, whatever the frame is. Now if you see it on the surface right here on the head, then that would be a little different story. That just means you got some moisture coming over. It doesn't necessarily mean it went all the way through. In this case, that's kind of telling us a story already. So, like I said, well, once we get this all apart, we'll figure out what's going on with it. Well, so far, I got, you know, all these screws out of this corner mold on both sides. And there's no caulking on any of these screws. All the screws are all rusted out. So they did put this butyl behind here, right? But look how clean that hole is for the butyl. It didn't even seal around that screw. It's not gonna seal that. And the other thing that they did, back to work. All right. So the other thing they did, they didn't take the film off the butyl. They left it on there. This is what they're doing at the factories. There's no quality control. Nobody cares. Get it built, get it out, get it sold. Alright, so here we get a flashlight. You can see this whole corner is all rotted out. Oh yeah, that's probably a little better pick. And it's got patent insulation in there. We're going to fill that with rigid foam, but all that is all obviously all rotted. You'll see more when we take it off. So the back wall is off, and we got all down here is rotted there. Now here's a little bit of stud rot there, and we got right here. This is where the ladder was mounted. If you're gonna climb that, you better be on a keto diet. That ain't gonna hold you. So then we got some here. So we're gonna obviously stitch all this back together. Then we'll take all this out. We'll put some rigid foam in there. We'll do a better job than that. Good job, Keystone. I think this is a Keystone. I think it is. Or whoever built this. It's Sandpiper. I thought it was a Keystone, but they're all the same to me. So, all right, so we got the whole back wall. We stitched it all. This is all rotted, so we just cut what was rotted off, and we stitched these back up. You can see I got metal plates in there, the gussets to kind of hold it all together, and you can see all the glue we got on these things. It's all glued up, all of it is. And then it's all screwed back to the joist going across in the frame. So we get all that. I'm going to put rigid foam in there. I'm going to foam it all around. That'll tighten everything up. Then over here, this corner was rotted, and Look at that light go. Did you already lose it again? So this piece right here is the frame. This is part of the frame of the coach. Okay. So this is where it was rotted. So we put a piece of steel in there, and I wrapped it around a corner. There's one underneath, then there's one that wraps up. It goes way out here, right out here, so we could secure all of this and all of that to it. And then we put another, we had to cut that bolt because it goes up inside the wall. We couldn't get it, so we just had to get it out of our way. And then we put another bolt right up through here. So we got a galvanized bolt going up through here on this other side. So that's us on there. And so we got this all patched up. You can see some of the steel right here. That's what we got right in there too. And we drilled this one out and put it in here. Right there. So that's going to be strong enough. The other alternative would be to tear all that apart just to get that little bit of chunk. And even if I got that little bit of chunk, I'd still have to try to bond it back together. So either way, it was the same thing. So now that we got all this framed, that's going to carry that load because it's going into this wall stud going up. This is screwed into it, so we got all that pulled, secured. Everything's all leashed together and it's working in concert like it should. So now we just got to get some foam in there, and we are good to go on this. Take a little bit to get the foam in there, but still we're going to put rigid foam in there instead. And like I said, that'll get it all tightened up. All right, so we've got all the repairs made. We got insulation all packed in there. This is the rigid foam, and you can see all the glue we got on there. So we're going to stick it. Now we got it all clamped up, braced up, and we got all that stuckified. So we're going to wait for that to cure. And once it all cures, we can take her down. Well, we slobbered the heck out of it with adhesive. We don't normally do them this way. We usually glue them on, glue the luan on, and then we glue the siding onto the luan. But in this case, a lot of that luan was good. We only had one side like down here and a little bit around here, I believe. Or vice versa, maybe it was vice versa. But anyhow, there's only a little bit there, so that's why we didn't want to strip it all down. It would have been a lot of work. And we would risk damaging the piece of pylon. So we came up with this instead. That's because I went to the veteran funded schools in my state, just if y'all are wondering. We've got a tiny hole right there. You see how that puckers down? There's rot right there. Got a little rot right there.
That one of the plastic one. That's the one that big, so that's fine.
Voila! All soft. So, and boy, they assembled this really good. This is going to be impressive. Let's show the impressive. It is. Try and squeeze through here. Oh man, he's getting to go on a diet. That's the little tiny nails that they use to hold down this decking. Little tiny nails. So you got a 1 1/4 inch nail going through 7/16. That doesn't leave you very much bite into the truss. That's why these things rack and start coming apart. I mean, that's pretty bad. They're going to use these little. These are basically like a little box nail, trim nail. You'd use these on like cedar siding or something. That's ridiculous. All right, well, let us peel this off. We got the shoulder off, as you can see. So now we're just taking we got the vent loose, ACs off, all that nonsense. Now we're gonna peel the roofing off, take the decking off, check underneath. All right, so this one here is broke. What's that go to? Goes up there, wherever that is. Yeah, I think it is the bathroom. So we'll have to figure that one out. And also on this skylight lens, we got a couple of fractures right in that corner right there. So the lens is no good. Is there another one over there? There'll be another. So we'll end up putting on a new lens. We'll have to figure out a new vent for him. All right. Alrighty, decking is up. Now we're gonna get all the little brads out of there. Then what we're gonna do is we're gonna tape up, make sure these are all taped up. That doesn't look well, so we'll retape all that. Then let's see, we go around and check all these, like that one over there. We'll check that. We're gonna check trusses, make sure trusses are okay. That's what we look for. Any wires that are coming through the, here's another one right here. So any of the wires that come up, I want to make sure they're protected. Usually these 12 volts are usually okay. I like to check these 120s and see where they're coming from. Because a lot of times they'll put them through a ferrule, and then the ferrules have a sharp burr on the inside, and that can be problematic. But it looks like they've got them all funneled right through that big hole, so probably isn't anything to worry about on this. So look at that, they're starting to use Wagos. We use those. Hey man, that's the first time I've seen them on a coach. They're pretty handy. The Wagos are really good because all you have to do, if you haven't seen Wagos, these little buttons right here, they just pop open, slide the wire in, they just snap it back down. It's real simple. So we got the back wall all glued on. You can put the window in. So one project down, and like I said, we're just trying to make sure everything is all set. We'll clean all this up, and then we'll start getting a redeck and get a new get the roof on here. So these are what I was looking for. And what happens is you get a burr right on the inside over here. We can see it. So when I say they won't put another red cent into these coaches, here's your red cent. Ta-da! Problem solved. That's the end of that. So I got a couple more down there. So now you got a knot right here. So there's no strength on that piece. We're going to put a block in there. And then this is split down here, so we're going to put a block in here to try to bridge that up, give it some strength. And then we'll check the rest of them and see what we got. But that's the whole purpose of taking the roof off. You don't want to just put a new roof on it because you have underlying issues. They all do. Almost every one I've done has an underlying issue of some sort. So you want to catch it before you put a new roof on it. Because if you have joints that break on this ductwork, how are you going to do that? How are you going to fix it? You're going to have to take the sealant out of the roof off. You got to get at it somehow. So you want to try and get all this done. Make sure everything's all set. And then, and the other thing I don't like is they didn't glue these down. You got to have these glued. That glue is important to make sure that it prevents the coach from racking too much. Because like you said, when it racks that much, you've seen the little brads they put in there. Those are going to just wall her out. There they are. Right, there's one right there. Just a little tiny brad. Little 1 1/4. What's that? Gee whiz, that thing's like a little box nail. Those things aren't meant to nail down sheathing. Like you wouldn't do that on a house. You wouldn't do that in a house, and a house isn't moving at 70 miles an hour down the interstate. So, so like I said, we got this all taped up. You see, we put another lick on here, and then that's what we're doing now, checking everything, getting the trusses all cleaned up, like I said. And then the other thing we're doing is checking all these Wagos. One of the guys looked at one, and it looked like it was not as tight as it could be. So he just said, "How the heck was he going to go along and tape them all up?" It's fine. They normally don't come loose, but that's all right. Let's get it. Let's see. See if I can get through here. What you got? What you got? What you got? Okay, which one? Oh yeah. Okay, that's something we'll be looking for too. All right. So what you're listening to is Sully Erna. He's a lead singer for Godsmack. Yeah. We'll reinforce this one. And then we'll reinforce this one too. But that's what we want to check. Everything and make sure it's all set. Here's another one. There's more up front. The other one was down back. We get that one. Like I said, we're going to check them all. Just to make sure. This one is just going right through the ceiling, so there's no ferrule in there. That one's okay. Alright, so we got the insulation back in. We did all the repairs to the ductwork. Putting on some new LED lights. They are all aglow. 1, 2. Nobody wants to get a ladder and start climbing up here to change light bulbs. Then the other thing we're doing is a lot of these trusses, they're not balanced out. One is sometimes higher than the other. When you put the decking down, it kind of gives that little bit of squirreliness. We don't like that here. So what we're doing is we're stapling them all together. All these doubles, we're getting them all together. So we're just making sure they're all gonna kind of line up. You can see like some of it's a little bit proud, like right here. So we're gonna get them together so they're laid flatter. Other than that, we're ready to get some sheathing on here. We're gonna put on split. Check out this insulation. It's 1.5 inch insulation. So when you put it in, that's a ductwork, but you can see the big cavity it has. It's terrible. Like, see how much you got there? That's quite a bit. You're missing almost each knuckle, I guess, about an inch. So you're about 2 inches shy of insulation. So we're gonna put some more insulation in this thing. This one's pathetic. Look at this. I mean, it's real thin. Okay? Hey, that's only 1.5. That's all that is. Just the cheap stuff. This is the stuff they use for air conditioning ductwork. That's really what it is. And now instead of putting in that, they're chintz on every single thing on these. Man, I just learn something new every time I open up a coach. They just get more and more cheap. This one didn't even have insulation on this side. It doesn't have insulation on this side, even though that's where it came from, because even though we took it out, you can see the holes for the pipe. That's the way it's at. We're going to put some more in here. Now we are ready for decking. So what I did was we put all this is blown in insulation. We filled it up all up inside the ductwork and everything, and then I put this on top. And that'll get a lot, I mean, there's a lot more insulation in here. I mean, we buried it all in there, so that's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be a lot cooler in the summer, a lot warmer in the winter. That's how they say it in Boston, warmer in the winter. Yeah, there you go. So we get it all in there. Now we can get the decking on here. Now we shoot her up. So what we got, obviously all the decking down, and then we've got our strips in here. Remember I was showing you how some of the trusses they weren't even, so we stapled them all together and fastened them all together to try to balance them out. There was still a little discrepancy, so I like to put this on. It basically buffers out some of that sin that's on from the coach. So we got the existing shoulder back on. We got that back on, and we've got this other side. That's the driver's side. We've already got it glued. You can see all the yellow down there. That's all the glue we got ready to roll over this one. This one down here, we're going to do it a little differently because the way this comes down, we're going to glue this section, bring it up, and glue it back that way. It seemed to work out pretty good in the other. Sometimes with these little transitions here, it just gets to be squirrely, so we're going to do it back this way. At least that's what they decided to do, put it that way. That's what they wanted to do. I ain't got no say anymore. But they figured it was easier. It worked out well on the last coach, so that's why we're going to do it that way. And then if you're wondering what that hole is, that's a vent right there. And in order to get at that, we have to break all the scaffold out so we can go up underneath there and find that hole from the ceiling on the inside. So instead we found it this way, and now we know where it is, because then we don't have to open up the slide out. That's what that's all about. So, because it just takes a lot to break all this down, all the scaffold, all the boards, everything. It's taken me over an hour to do it. So we got smart and just marked it right now. So that's about us. So once this cures and flashes off, we'll roll it, roll this one, then we start putting this thing together. Right on the set. All right, so we got our little stamp on there, our logo, if you want to call it that. We like to put those on there so we can monitor the roof when it comes in for inspections, and that type thing. Also, if the customer decide to sell the coach, then at least they can go, hey, this thing's still under warranty. Right there, we just put it on, whatever amount of years that is, right? I want to thank the customer for bringing this coach to us. Where'd he come from? Trying to see where it is. I think he's right down Alabama. Yeah, he's from Alabama. But if you remember the first part of the video, there was a corner piece that came over, and that's how they usually do the edge. I really like that. If I can get away from that, I do, and then I put a gutter in the back. I don't want all that water running down the side, down the back wall here. So we put a gutter on there. Also replaced the lights with LEDs. No one wants to get up here and start hassling with it. They're already in our face, and the other ones are just, the lenses are brittle anyways. So we just said, the heck with it, let's put some new ones on there. We get all that together, and then you can see that we got the air conditioner, everything obviously all put back together, but we got a stand in the back, and those feet, all they do is help give the air conditioner some balance. So the roof itself, this is a commercial grade roof. That being said, this commercial grade roof, in the commercial end, they start at 45 mil. That's the first, that's basically, if you want to call it, entry level on a commercial roof, which is still far better than the RV grade, which is just junk. Okay, this is 60 mil, so this is actually up one more grade from the entry level. This is a 60 mil commercial reinforced structured TPO. TPO stands for thermoplastic. That's why we're able to weld everything together, all these curves and everything. We design everything on here. I design the entire roof, and I make every single component that goes on this roof. So no matter what it is, we'll get it together for you. So on the, again, going back on the air conditioning here, we got the stands on here, and I also have a piece of counter flash up in here. And the purpose of this counter flash is up underneath here is a foam gasket, which we did replace all the gaskets, or both. But I don't want the water to come drooling down here and then the wind blow it back into the gut, into that foam gasket. So that's why we put this piece on here. That pushes it down below. There's a counter flash that I put on these. So if you were to go online and you want to do an image search for commercial roof images, you're going to see all the vents, you're going to see the skylights, air conditioners, you're going to see all these things elevated up like I have them here. That's the way you do a flat roof or low slope roof. So these little boxes are called curbs, and that's what elevates them up. So when I do design them, and all of them on a commercial level, you'll see that this part is called the flashing, and then this piece is called counter flashing. So that has counter flashing on, all of them do. So that piece in the front pushes down below this here, so all that water will come this way instead of trying to stay up here. That's what it does. So again, all this is all heat welded. You can see how we, even when we put these in, the way I do these, just as a tip, this isn't a DIY channel, but when I load these all in here, then what I do is I just let it rest on there. This is an adhesive caulk that we use, so it'll really bond it on there, but I just let it sit there before I put the screws in. I just nestle it down, and then we go back later after it's all cured and I put the screws in on these. Made these special boots right here. So if this cap comes off, if the cap comes off, it'll just go down into the holding tank. Unlike the others, they have a base on there, and that base, if water gets in there, it'll trickle down into the roof deck. So this is obviously a much better system. So you can see we did the same thing over here. And then on this skylight is solely glued down. We don't put any screws in it at all. These things are prone to leak. So you can see how big of a gasket we got underneath here and how clean that looks. So the other concern that you have on a skylight lens is you will have, especially now, the weather being where it's colder in the morning and warms up during the day, you'll get maybe some frost on here. Well, when this gets cold and the frost is on here, it's also on the inside of this lens. So then when the sun comes up and warms this up and evaporates that moisture off there, the frost, well, it also heat up the lens, but the inside cannot get evaporated out. So what happens is it starts drooling down, and it can get into the roof deck, or in this case, it could possibly get into a curb. So what I did is I designed this solar fan right here. So when the sun comes up, that solar fan kicks on. This is an intake for that solar fan. So there's a trough that goes up underneath the roof into this cavity right here, into this curb assembly. So you have the inner lens, and then you have this lens. So the air will get drawn up over the inner lens, comes back down and gets exhausted out, and it keeps that cycle going. So you minimize any of that essentially what's that called is dry rot. You have moisture that gets in there, and then typically it dries out due to the wood or something just essentially wicking up the water. So they call that dry rot because there's no actual leak. So, and you don't want to have, obviously have that in there. So these plumbing, same way, you know, same caps. Now, the thing with this one though is if this does pop off, then what you're going to need to do is take this one or that one, any of them, and put them on here, or take this up, because that's going to be an open hole. That's open, that's wide open. So you want to make sure that you get that covered so you don't have a leak. We got the same air conditioner style up there. We got the feet in the back. We got a piece of counter flash up on the front. We got all that. Made a special stand for the antenna, as you can see over there. So we got all that. And then again, we got the vent on here. All this is all heat welded in here. So this is ready to go. Now on the side, we got 2 strikes of caulking. I did change this insert trim. I'll show you what that is. But when we put this gutter on, we glue it on. What burps up, we strike it down. Once that cures, then we go back with a strike. When that cures, we go back yet with another strike. But you always want to check these things. I mean, don't take things for granted. I didn't make the caulking. I didn't make all this stuff. That's why I like to see them come back. So initially, I like to see these come back, you know, 60 days max. You know, if you can bring it back earlier, what I'm looking for is to get the thing moving, racking, twisting, flexing, because they do that a lot. And I want to see it in motion, have it go down the road, you put a few hundred miles on it, bring it back, let's make sure everything is okay, and that's what we'll do, is we'll check everything. And then, because if I get another, this is sandpiper, if I get another sandpiper in here, it's going to rack, twist, and flex differently than this one. It's just the physics of it. So, all that said, you know, we like to see them come back. Then after that, you come back once a year. So every time you come back, this is a 20-year roof system, so every year you come back, I'll extend that warranty for the following year. So now this being 23, because we'll say now it's November, so it comes back in January 24. I'm going to give them a warranty from January 24 to January 25. Come back in January 25, your warranty will go from January 25 to January 26. So, and it doesn't have to be exactly 12 months, you know. Sometimes people have to make arrangements. You come in 10 months, 11 months, even 13 months. I want to see it every year is my point. Don't take it for granted. So, that's how the warranty works. Maintenance-wise, all you have to do, see this thing, I don't know why it's blurring out there. See, I'll bring it back a little bit. Maybe it just needs to be cleaned or something, the lens. But the maintenance on this is real simple. You can wash it with dish soap, or if you want to take it to a truck wash, you can have them get up there and just simply wash, you know, pressure wash the whole thing. You can pressure wash this easy, or if you wanted to, easy to clean. Dish soap, suds it up, pressure wash it off, real simple. So we even did the same. Now it's real problematic with these, the ladder. When you put the ladder on there, those things want to wiggle and wobble all over the place. So I made those special boots over there, and that's a special sealer that's in there. So this way, when you're moving, that'll always stay flexible, so you won't have a leak over there. All right, so this is basically the insert trim that we use, and you can probably find some of this on YouTube if you want. This is what they normally use right here, and I don't like this because what happens is the water can still get down inside this track, and it can travel. And I really try to keep as much water out as I can. If I can find a better way, I'm going to do it. This one, I don't know if you can see, but it has a groove in it. See if I can get that there. See the groove? So it's got a groove, so it sits in the track actually sits in this groove right here. So, and it also bulbs out more, so when the water comes down, it'll roll right into the gutter. And I try to keep as much water out of there. So we don't sell anything here, and folks have asked us, you know, do you sell anything? Can I buy this? Can I buy that? We don't sell anything. We don't sell one thing. We're just a service center, and also we're not a DIY channel. So there's a lot of stuff that we do behind the scenes that we just, you know, the videos be extremely long for us to show, you know, exactly every single step that we do. But like I said, they're not DIY channels. If you get a tip out of it, awesome. But here's the actual material. So this is the roofing right here. So obviously you got the tan that's on here, and we have a gray. And this is what's known as a structured membrane. That's what it is. And you probably see some, like right on here, you can see some of the little squares in there. That's a weave or a mesh that they put in there and that helps resist against hail in tree branches. So we get the, obviously the tan, you get the gray, and these three colors here. These are your common standard colors. You can get a couple different colors, like darker colors for different coaches if you want it, but that's usually a an upcharge because they consider them premium colors or specialty colors. So other than that, like I said, we went around the whole thing with 2 strikes of caulking, and other than that, I think we're all set. I think I went over everything pretty good, and I wanted to thank the customer for bringing it in. We appreciate the work, and she's about ready to go. We'll get another one in here, and well, I guess we'll see us all the next time. So you know, you can hear the music in the background. That's Hailstorm, actually, Lizzie Hale. But the reason why I put that on there is maybe YouTube won't monetize it, and because these commercials are getting way out of hand, and they're putting them almost every 6 or 7 minutes on there. And I didn't start this channel for the monetization of the videos. I started the channel so I could show the customer all the work we did. So, all right. Well, somebody's here. That's the somebody's here alarm. All right. Thank you. We'll see you on the next
package.
one.
So in our care package, we have caulking. We got primer. We have got 2 patches. Those are heat patches. We got a patch peel and stick patch. We got a checker tool. We've got a magnet. And the rest of this is just pens, keychains, brush, nozzle. Okay. So if we have a hole in the roof, it will simulate a hole. You can do hole simulations. We say we got a hole there. Here's your tree branch come through, and you're like, oh man, I got a hole in my roof, it's leaking. So what you want to do, and it's raining out. Right now it's raining, you're like, crap, I gotta stop that leak. You want to get in there, and if you can't get that nozzle in there, don't worry about it. Make it a little bigger. What you try and do, you need to get up underneath the roofing, like this. This is what we need to do, get up underneath the roofing. Then you're going to take and you're going to put this up inside there, and you're going to squeeze, 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 squeeze. Hopefully this thing is plugged up. There it goes. Just squeeze, squeeze. You're going to try and get up underneath this part too. Squeeze up underneath there. Get some more underneath there. Well, we are getting this thing all boogered up. Then what we're going to do, you're going to push it together. See how it oozes out? That's sealed. You're done. This is a moisture cured product. So what? It's a hot mess. Looks terrible. Who cares? Keep the water out. So now, the next day, we're going to go up there, and that's going to be cured looking like that. So we're going to take a knife, and you just shave it down. Just shave it down with a knife. I'm just going to obviously wipe this off. Now you say, hey, I want something a little better than that. So what we're going to do is get some cleaner. This is a terrible rag. You got another one. You got one on you? Oh, get a rag, get a rag, get a rag, get a rag, get a rag. What you gonna talk about, man? No, just leave it alone. Oh, leave it alone right now. We're recording now? Are we on?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Alright, so now we cleaned it off with a knife. I just washed that up because it's still wet. Take that off. So now we got a patch. There's a peel and stick patch. We're going to take that, we're going to center it over there. Just take a pen and go around like this. I like to kind of put a dash like that so I know who's where, what, and where, and how. So now there's what I got. So in the package we got primer. We also have a brush. You're going to take that, you're going to go all inside the square. You're also going to go outside this square about 3/8 of an inch. Outside about 3/8 of an inch or so. Once you get that, there's a film on the back. You peel the film, now you know which side you are, see, because there's your marks. And you peel that film back. Get the fingers, fat fingers in there to get the film off of this thing. This is just a regular roof tape. That's all it is. We put them in all the care packages. Get that daggone thing off of there. Probably use some fingernails. Probably help. Come on. There it is. Okay. Oop, hey, there it is. Now you got the film. You take that film. So now we're going to line it back up with this. We already got the primer under there. You just peel the film back, and as you do, you just rub it down like this. Sometimes that film will get a little stuck in there. This is just a butyl. You just kind of try to keep it as even as you can and flat as you can. Boom, you're done. There it is. So now, out here, this is where your primer is. You put the primer on there. You got primer there, and now you're going to put primer here. You want to prime all this area with your brush. Prime all that. Then you're going to come back. Once you get it all primed, then you're going to put a little bit of caulking on it, just like this. That's simple. If it doesn't all sit in there, you can always take your finger and go around it if you want. We're trying to obviously stop a leak and make one of. There's going to be a little more permanent of a patch than just that plug that we did when it was raining. So now that we get that all done, the whole purpose of it is this part here. This part underneath here, that's a butyl. When the sun hits that, if you didn't have the caulking on there, it will cause it to release and curl up just like I'm doing here. And it'll start coming loose. That's why you need the primer. That's why when you prime it, you're going to prime on top of this because nothing will stick to it. Nothing, the caulking will not stick to this patch and it won't stick to the roof unless you use the primer. That's how you do a patch. Ta-da! All done.